Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Unsportsmanlike Conduct. I'm David Sackrider, as always, breaking down this week's Michigan sports updates with insight and flair. We're going to get things rolling right away. First up, we're going to get into some Montrose high school sports. I'm going to kick things off today. Earlier this week, I had the chance to catch up with Brandon Gross about this past football season and about the upcoming basketball season, so let's take a look at that now. Well, Brandon, thanks for joining me today, and congratulations on an extremely well put together football season this season.
Thank you.
You guys really went on a run there and made it a lot deeper into the playoffs than anybody could have imagined, especially me. That last game, I'm sure, took a lot of leadership and motivation, especially after David Bedford went down with the injury. Yeah. As a captain, how did you have to step up during that time?
I just, we knew as a team that if people had to step up and make plays, and we had to do that all year through people getting hurt all year. So, it was just another one of those things, like somebody had to step up and make plays. I know they would be as good as Devontae, but they could step up and make plays on their own ability and make something happen.
Well, again, it was still a great season. While you guys were on the win streak, what was the atmosphere like at practice?
We'd have fun all the time, and practice would fly by, honestly. Like, normally people look at it as like, oh, it's practice again, but we'd go out there and be like, just another day, go out there and have fun, forget about everything else but football, and just go out there.
Well, I'm sure that's something that you want to take into this basketball season too, right?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
And speaking of the basketball season, coming in with a new coach, how has the change in the atmosphere been at practice?
It's more energetic. We're getting after it a lot more, and there's new things we got to learn. But, just once we get those in, then we can start flying around, doing all the things that we can, and just going out there, doing 100% every time.
You guys have had 2 scrimmages so far. How has the team looked throughout the season?
At first, we started out, just trying to put things together, but each and every day we're getting better and better, and the scrimmages are helping us, making us get to know, what we got to do to keep improving it each and every day.
Well, I thank you for joining me today. And I wish you luck the rest of the season. As you saw there, it was nice to catch up with Brandon about the football season and what it's like on the field. Because it's a completely different perspective for me up in the booth and how I get to enjoy the team's wins and how he gets to enjoy the team's wins. So it was good to talk to him. Also, we talked about David Bedford, and his presence was definitely felt when he came out of the game against Jackson Lumen Christi. It would have been a completely different ball game if he was still in. And because of that, along with an incredible stat line and just what he provided to this team, David Bedford was recently named the top football player in Genesee County. He accounted for 1,696 yards, which averages to about 130 yards per game. He had 11 games with over 100 rushing yards this season, and he had 26 touchdowns on the season. And that's about 2 touchdowns a game. So it was just an excellent season for him, all around great. In that interview, Brandon and I also touched upon the basketball season. Basketball is coming up. The boys start next week, and the girls start soon after. Both teams coming in with brand new coaches, brand new environment, a brand new feel to the program. And so it'll be interesting to see on that Tuesday night when the boys come out how much different they look compared to last year under Coach Jason Danek. Coach Jack Chittle, I think, has got an excellent plan here for the boys team. So on Tuesday when they play Byron, we'll see how they do. And as for the girls, I think that Coach Corey Oliar also has been doing some excellent things. They've been sitting in on a couple practices, and they look like they'll be pretty good. So we'll see as time goes on. As we move on, we'll stick in the Montrose sports, section, and we'll look at wrestling. Wrestling, they opened up their season with 2 wins, a 60-21 win over Milford and a 44-33 win over Fenton. The Tigers, 2 strong wins, 2 great wins for this wrestling program that I'm sure is going to be looking to add a ton more to the pile. So as they move forward, I wish them luck, and I hope good things on them this season. They had 3 guys in the state finals last year as individuals, and I know they're looking to send a few more, maybe as a team this time. We'll see. But it all just depends on what they can accomplish over the regular season, and we'll keep you posted on that. So with that, we're going to move to some collegiate sports, and we're going to kick things off with the bowl situation. The games were selected, and bowl placement was decided over the weekend after the conference games took place. And we'll start with the University of Michigan. They finished high enough to allow themselves to get a New Year's Six bowl. They'll be participating in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl on December 29th against the all too familiar Florida Gators. It's starting to seem like Michigan and Florida are the only 2 teams that can only play each other in these bowl games. And so be it. We'll see these Wolverines come out, and they'll be playing without Rashawn Gary, who decided that he was going to sit this game out in hopes to get healthy and get ready for the NFL, as he's going to enter the draft. And speaking of somebody who's going to enter the NFL draft, LJ Scott decided that he is going to play in Michigan State's bowl game and go to the draft. Michigan State will participate in the Red Box Bowl on December 31st. They play the Oregon Ducks, which should be an excellent matchup. I'm looking forward to that one. It should be exciting. And speaking of exciting, it doesn't get much more exciting than the 62-60 victory that Michigan had over Northwestern. We're talking Michigan basketball here. Earlier this week. That brings Michigan on a 9-game win streak. They've won 23 of the last 24 games since February 7th. Of those games, they've won 17 of 24 by double digits, and their only loss comes to Villanova in the NCAA championship at the end of the season last year. Michigan's on a roll, and I thought, that last season's team was good and that we would be good this year, but we wouldn't be this good. This is phenomenal Michigan basketball, and I love watching Michigan play like this. They really are cut above the rest here, and I can't wait to see a Michigan matchup against a Duke or a Michigan against a Gonzaga or a Michigan against a Kansas, because I do think we're going to see something different out of this Michigan team that tops the Big Ten as of right now. In the 62-60 win over Northwestern, Ignas Brazdeikis, had 23 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists, and Jordan Poole had 15 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists to give their team the win. And I just, I really love talking college basketball. I really love talking Michigan basketball, especially when they're playing like this. And it's really just all around great for Michigan. And it's great to have 2 solid teams in the state of Michigan to watch. We're talking both Michigan and Michigan State as we make the transition over to MSU. MSU, they've moved to 7-2 on the season after the 90-68 win over Iowa. And I do like watching Michigan State this season as well. They struggled. They came out not quite as strong as people originally thought they were going to, but now they're still tied for first in the Big Ten with 2 wins in the conference. They're tied with the University of Michigan, who is at the tippy top with the 9-0 start to the season. Wisconsin and Ohio State are tied at 8-1, and Michigan State and Indiana are tied at 7-2. They all have 2-0 wins, a 2-0 record, in the Big Ten Conference. And you look at this Michigan State game against Iowa where they were just able to blow them out. Nick Ward had a career-high 10-for-10 game where he played phenomenally with 26 points and 9 rebounds, didn't miss a shot. That's just incredible. And he's not somebody that I was particularly looking at going into this season as somebody to watch out for. So it was good to see him have that and rank 5th amongst Spartans. And then you take a look at this next stat. Michigan State in that game, they made 31 shots with 28 assists. That means that there were only 3 shots that didn't have an assist on them that resulted in a make. And Michigan State is playing excellent, sharing the ball well, and they are looking strong despite the 2 losses in their record. Some other notables in that game against Iowa, we talked about Kevin Goins, 19 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists. And if Nick Ward hadn't have had that 26-point night, Goins would be the one you're looking at, because 19 points and 14 rebounds. It's a solid double-double, 7 assists, almost triple-double. He looks good. Michigan State looks good. Michigan looks good. All around, college basketball is where it's at if you're looking for stuff in Michigan sports. But if you're a football fan, you got to wait a little while for more college football. You could watch the Lions, but I wouldn't recommend it. Lions are 4-8 after their 30-16 loss to the Los Angeles Rams. Gosh, I hate watching the Lions play like this. I'm not even going to get into the stats because it's pointless. You can look at Stafford throwing 275 yards in the game and say, oh, he threw 275 yards. But the fact of the matter is, I have, as a Detroit fan, have shaken faith in Stafford this season. I was happy with the contract deal that was made a while ago. I was happy with his performance last season. He was able to lead Detroit to a lot of wins in the fourth quarter last season, but this season he just looks he looks awful. He looks offensive, you might say, on the offense. The Lions just look pathetic. And the problem is they can't get both sides of the ball to work equally well. When the defense looks good, the offense looks awful, and vice versa. In this game, it happened to be the defense that looked good, and they were able to hold the Rams for 3 straight quarters, and then the offense just couldn't get downfield and score the ball. You've got to score the ball to win the game. You've got to put points on the board. So your defense can only play so well before eventually that offense has got to start kicking in. And really it comes down to the Lions losing Kerryon Johnson, losing that threat off the run, because LeGarrette Blount is good, but he's not as good as Kerryon Johnson. And like LeGarrette Blount, you can hand him off the ball, he'll get you your 2 to 3 yards a carry, and that's what you need out of him. But Kerryon Johnson had that playmaking ability that now that he's gone, it's hurting this Lions team for sure. And they play the Arizona Cardinals next on Sunday against Arizona. Whoopee. It's the Arizona Cardinals. It's the Detroit Lions. It's probably going to be an awful game to watch, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you do that. But if you feel like it, be my guest. I'll certainly be watching it, but Lions 4-8 right now. Yeah, that's all I have to say. So we'll move on to the Red Wings so that we can keep the sad train rolling. The Red Wings are at 12-4 after the 6-5 loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Let me repeat that. A 6-5 loss. They had a 6-5 loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They scored 5 goals and lost in a comeback win from the Lightning. They're now at 2 spots out of last in the Atlantic. It's tough to watch them play. It's tough to watch it all around. They had an extremely long losing streak there for a while. I thought, maybe we might see a turning around when they won 2 straight, and then there's this garbage, and I don't expect next week to be any different. So, gosh, I really don't like watching the Red Wings right now. I'd rather watch anything else as far as hockey's concerned, because it's hard to watch a team that's this mediocre, and that's really what it comes down to. So I'm not going to dwell on that any longer. I'm just going to move right to the Pistons, which, let's end on a high note here, because the Detroit Pistons look excellent this season. And that's not something I thought I was going to be saying going into the season. It's not a place I expected to be in here at 22 games into the season, but at 13-9, the Pistons look excellent. And despite the 115-92 loss to the Bucks, I'm still rooting for this Pistons team, who looks amazing. And you've got to credit it to Blake Griffin coming in here and just making a difference. He had 31.7 rebounds and 4 assists in the loss. Eric Bledsoe led the Bucks with 27 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists. So they pretty much canceled it out. When it came to the rest of the team, the Bucks were able to pull out the win. I don't mind. I actually really like watching the Bucks. I like watching Giannis Antetokounmpo play. He is excellent. I like watching them, but I really love watching the Pistons this season. They're turning into one of those teams that really is surprising me, but surprising me in a good way. I can't say it enough. When people are like, oh, the Pistons are playing, oh, you're going to a Pistons game, oh, you're watching the Pistons, I'm like, heck yeah, I'm watching the Pistons because they look good this year. They're ranked 4th in the conference right now. They're 2.5 games behind the Bucks for top of the Central. If they had won this game, they wouldn't be in so much of a hole. But at the same time, Pistons playing up against the Bucks. The Bucks are ranked 2 in the conference. The Pistons are ranked 4. I still think the Pistons are going to be a team to watch this season, because I think they're going to sneak up on some people. And really, these basketball teams in the state of Michigan are looking really good. So, if maybe you're not liking watching the Red Wings or the Lions, maybe you just want to turn on the basketball game and watch it, because whether it's Michigan, whether it's Michigan State, whether it's the Detroit Pistons, they all look excellent, and I'm loving watching them. So that's going to do it for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed another episode of Unsportsmanlike Conduct. I've been David Sackrider. If you want to catch up on past episodes of the show, go ahead and check out our podcast feed, which can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. Always a good time. And if you want to catch us live, be sure to catch us next week every Wednesday at 2 o'clock. We'll be live with another episode of Unsportsmanlike Conduct. But until then, thank you for tuning in, and so long.